Hello, Sundogs fans, and welcome to another edition of SundogsTV presented by Arizona Lottery. For myself, Scott Sutter, also joined by my co-host Shane Ferraro. Let's start today's episode talking about something we talked about in the previous episode, the trade deadline. Now, it has passed here in the CHL, and the Sundogs did end up making a move on the trade deadline, sending away two rookies for Jason Williams and defenseman Billy Bozow, and they acquired veteran forward Craig McDonald. Now, Bozow and Williams were two key players for the Sundogs. Williams on the season had 26 points, Bozow had 20 points. But being able to acquire a forward like Craig McDonald was key for the Sundogs. Yeah,
absolutely. And, you know, if fans take a look at that trade, they might not realize it at first look. Craig McDonald's had a tough season. He's battled injuries. But if you go back to his previous numbers in previous seasons, he's a top performer. So I think this trade worked out well. It's always tough to say goodbye to players that you've come to like and get to know in Billy Bozow and Jason Williams, you know, combined 40-something points. But I think fans are going to be pleased to see what Craig McDonald can do for this team. Currently riding a 4-game point streak, you know, in his 5 games with the team, scoreless in the first game. He's produced since. And he's one of the top producers in those last 4 games.
Now, last season he did play with Bloomington as well in the IHL, had 44 goals and 90 points in 76 games. The previous 3 seasons played in the CHL with the New Mexico Scorpions. So the Sundogs aren't a stranger to what he brings to a club. Also with that trade, again, trading away a defenseman and not getting a defenseman back, it really wasn't that big of a deal for the Sundogs as they were getting Jim Driscoll off of IR. So that enabled them to send away a defenseman but still keep Driscoll on the roster.
Yeah, and Driscoll's playing great since he's been back. You know, he missed a significant amount of time with his injury, but since he's been back, he's playing very well with Tyler Butler. He's leading the team currently in plus-minus rating. So for a young defenseman such as Jim to be leading in that category, playing with a veteran in Tyler Butler, he's playing great, and it's good to have him back.
Now, the Sundogs also added another player in the month of February, not through the trade deadline, but through the waiver wire. Morgan McLean was signed with the Sundogs after being released from Odessa, and he's adding a great mixture onto that third line with Jason Visser and Adam Smith.
Yeah, and you know, again, he's the type of guy, he's not going to put up a ton of numbers. That's not his style of play. He's a third line kind of grinder type player, but he's already exceeded his numbers that he had in Odessa in less games played in Arizona. So again, a great addition. He seems to be playing well with the line he's with right now. And it seems that Marco and Chris Bartoloni are making moves that are going to enable this team to get back to the playoffs, and I think we're seeing that with Craig McDonald and Morgan McLean.
Now, we are heading into the final month of the season, and that roster is starting to finally take its final form. Right now, only 2 players on injured reserve with Mark Kalanos and Sam Grenache. Other than that, this roster is set, and that's key when you're going into the final stretch.
Yeah, and you know, all season long, Marco and Chris Bartoloni, again, they had such a heavy roster because we dealt with injuries as a team from the onset of the season. To start getting some of those guys healthy and get them back and be able to make roster moves and open up room for trades and for European players that might be coming back to North America for a playoff push. You know, moves have to be made, and it's tough to say goodbye to some players, but you know, the roster's set up pretty well right now, I think, for a couple more additions for a playoff run.
Now, this month of February hasn't been the kindest to the Sundogs, going 2-5-1 in the month so far as of February 22nd. But at home, the Sundogs are playing 500 hockey, going 2-2-0. Really a key, which is the Sundogs didn't start off well playing well at home. So right now, it's good seeing them play well here at Tim Toyota Center.
Yeah, it seems like they've swapped a little bit. The team, for the most part, played above 500 hockey on the road in the first half of the season, struggled at home a little bit. They've seemed to turn that around, and they're playing well at home and seeing some struggles on the road. But I think that a nice break here, getting back on the road. I think the team's going to turn that around. Fans are going to be excited with that playoff push, and I think Marco, Chris, the guys downstairs, I think they're in a good position right now.
Now, the teams that the Sundogs have played on the road so far in this month, Colorado and Rapid City. 1 versus Colorado, which the Sundogs took into overtime. 3 versus Rapid City in Rapid City. They also played those 2 teams the last 2 weekends of the season. Is it helpful for the Sundogs playing such stiff competition heading into the home stretch?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you always want to play the best in the league. It helps judge where your team sits. And if you think about it, those last 2 games against Rapid City and Colorado, to take Colorado to overtime after trailing in the 3rd period is very big, and it was a late goal in overtime by former Sundog Matt Hansen. Yes. But to get a point there was big, and we had a chance to win that game. Against Rapid City, we trailed 3-0 midway through the contest, 4-1 in the 3rd period, and then had a chance to win that game. You know, pulled it to within a goal twice. McDonald had a chance for a penalty shot and just missed a little high. So very capable of taking away 4 points in those 2 games. Came away with 1, but to see where the team played and played well, that's very encouraging going into this last stretch.
Now, at the end of February and the middle of March, more key stretches on the road for the Arizona Sundogs. They're going to be playing 3 versus Odessa, 3 versus Laredo, and 2 versus Rio Grande Valley. And all 4 of those teams, including the Sundogs, are right there for the last 3 spots in the Barrie Conference.
Yeah, you know, if you're looking for exciting hockey in the second half of the season, this is going to be it. The Sundogs have had a ton of success this season against Odessa, Laredo, Rio Grande Valley. All 4 of them are in a long playoff run, and to play those final games against conference opponents is huge. You win a game and you have an opponent lose 2 points in the standings, you can start to increase your spacing between them. So this final month's going to be exciting, and to play those teams, I think, sets the Sundogs up well for success.
Now, conference opponents for the Sundogs so far on the year: 13-12-2 versus teams in the Barrie Conference. That's big right now.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the Sundogs are in a great position to make that final playoff push, to be able to play conference opponents down the stretch, teams that you've had success against all season long. You know, there's not a better spot to be in.
Now, Shane, I know you've been here since the inception of the club, all 5 seasons. The past 2 years haven't made the playoffs. What does this mean for you having a chance to get in the playoffs this season?
Oh, you know, I share the same sentiment that Marco does, that Chris Bartoloni does. They've been here since day one as well. And our fans, they're in the same boat. We want to be back in the playoffs. Playoff hockey's exciting. That's what you play the regular season for, is to have a chance to win that trophy at the end of the year. Making the playoffs our first 2 seasons was great, and then, you know, we're in the lull the last 2 seasons missing out. So I don't think there's anyone that wants to be in the playoffs more than the players, than Marco and then Chris and our fans. And if we can get to the playoffs and I can write some releases on playoff hockey, it's all the better.
Well, now coming up on SundogsTV, we have a treat as we mic'd up forward Jason Visser for the game versus Odessa on February 15th. So stay tuned.